This is beginning of part 2. I'm going to talk to you about the next part in this for CSS, the external video with this. And one of the things that we're going to talk to you about, is the CSS that I have created inside of my subdirectory of the CSS right now with it. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to just give it some definitions you can think of. And if you can remember the tags that we use, my IntelliSense kicks in. It says body. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. This is my tag in my other, if I was going to use this particular style, that I'm going to use as the tag, and I hit the left curly right brackets and hit enter. This is my definition of what all takes place in here with it. So I'm going to use background color for this thing. Let's give it something very, very simple. You can pick a color out of this thing. You can let me just pick blue for now. All right. You could use hexadecimal color, all that stuff with it as well. It doesn't really matter. Some tags that you're familiar with should be H1 that you did already with it. And I want to say everything in H1. I want that tag to the color for that particular font's going to be color. I'm going to hit select color. I want to do navy. That would look really weird. Let me change this color instead, because I don't want a navy blue. It just masks it up. Let's do light blue. How's that for that? And I'll do navy for it's a little darker with it as well. All right. And then the next property, I'll give this a margin. A margin of left margin, and then this way with it. Let's call this thing 20 pixel. All right. So something for us to work with right now. Of course, there will be more tags and more attributes and properties. Now, let me go back and define some stuff with it as well. In our first exercise that you did, and the other one you used an H1 tag, and that tag comes with attributes. So these things are called attributes. Separate by the syntax is called the colon syntax, and you give it a properties in here as well. Oops. So these properties that you have that we will use they just vary from one another with as well. So based on what you have. Again, tags, attributes, properties. All right, same thing. Let me just save this particular document as my styles. I'm going to come out of my CSS, click in the folder where you want to create it. Right mouse click on it. I'm going to create a new file this time. I'm going to call this thing external underscore CSS, and I'm going to put a underscore 1 after it, okay? So you can see what all takes place in here with it as well. So, and very important is .html. All right, .html. Now, here's what I want you to do. All right, make sure you name the file like I have, right? External CSS, and with underscore, and you don't have to put the underscore, but you can't leave a space in there. Is my point with it. So if you want to name it like this, that's fine. You're not gonna hurt my feelings if you don't use an underscore. But you gotta give it some meaningful name. External CSS1. I don't care with it. Hit enter. And this is where we're at right now. We need to go in here and code this thing like we normally code for a web page, right? What all web page starts out with is the doc type with it, right? And HTML. Hit enter. Come in right now. Open up your HTML tag. And inside your HTML tag, you have two parts, right? You have your head tag. And then inside your head tag, what do you have? Your title tag, right? And let's call this thing, what do we call this? External CSS page 1. Tell you why you want to call it page 1 in a second here. Let me zoom out, so you can see the whole thing right now with it, right? Between your head tags, this particular link is where we're going to link our page. So this is the tag is link relative, and you're going to call this thing style sheets. this tells it you have an external style sheets with it, right? And the link that you're going to tell it to find is href. This is linking from your external CSS1 HTML to your styles.css. All right, so I select this, and it automatically puts in the quotes for me. Now, you need to give this the path, how it goes from your external CSS1 to your CSS. You have to go through what? A folder called CSS. So the folder, watch how I do this. I like the IntelliSense. The moment I start to type CSS with it, right? Well, it should be able to come down and pick and select it with me. And I do /, and it picked it up as, look, it tells me there's a file called styles.css, basically with it, right? So from my external CSS going to my style CSS, it has to go through the CSS folder, right? I cannot have it like this. If I did this, looking like the way how I have it right now, and closing this tag off with the way how it is, this is not going to link, because this is saying that the CSS, the style, the external underscore CSS underscore 1.html is in the same folder as the style CSS. This is incorrect. The correct path is you have to give it the path of the CSS that actually goes inside of that. Okay, so that's where that path comes in. That's where you connect it to this thing. The second half of this code is what? You got the body tag, and the body tag we're going to type in, because look, you got the body tag. This body that you're telling it, this tag is calling it from this body right here, and you're telling it to give it a light blue for all the background colors. Okay, and I'm going to come back to over here. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to give it an H1, and that H1 inside of this thing, I'm going to tell it to you can say something, this is my first external CSS, and should be what's the color we gave it? What color did we give it as? Over here, a navy color, font color. All right, navy font color. Okay. So I'm going to save this. Control S, save it. I'm going to leave this up here for you to take a look at. Pause at the screen for me before we're going to look at this through the live server for me. Okay. I'll tell you what, let me end the second video at this part right now. I'm going to start because we're approaching almost 10 minutes here. It's 8 minutes into this, so this is a good stopping point.